Here's the Bible, New King James, yeah? Change the these and thous. Okay? There's 1,100 pages. If you pick around the beginning, near the beginning, there's Genesis and all the crazy stories. Yeah? In the middle, there's some poetry we can't test. And Psalms we can't really test. I can, but you need really deep Bible knowledge. At the beginning, it's more emotional. It's more like stories and metaphors and how we should treat each other. So if you really want to know if the Bible's real, through archaeology, the easiest way to test it is at the beginning, but we can test anything other than the Psalms in the middle. So you can pick a number, and you can tell me, logically, we can ask, how shall we test this? And we'll go test it live. So 0 to 1,100. The lower down you pick, the more crazy the stories are. Pick a number.
Okay, well then we'll go for like a solid 950. We'll go for a high number then.
You want to go for a high number?
We'll go for something logical. Yeah,
logical's on the lower numbers. No, the higher numbers are
Oh, sorry, I
Jesus.
misheard you. Then go for something lower. It doesn't matter the number.
Go for something. No, it does. It's you pick. Go for something lower. It's more archaeology.
Okay, 50.
Right, cool. 50. 53. Okay, 50. Pharaoh. Okay, Moses answered and said, but suppose they will not believe me or listen to my voice. Suppose they say the Lord does not appear to you. So the Lord said to him, what is that in your hand? He said, a rod. And he said, cast it on the ground. So he cast it on the ground and it became a serpent. Moses fled from it. Then the Lord said to Moses, reach out your hand and take it by the tail. He reached out in his hand and caught it and became a rod in his hand. Okay, there's two magic people by Pharaoh, and there's Moses having a magic showdown, basically. This is not testable. We can test the Pharaoh, we can test the Moses. I can show you Moses splitting the Red Sea. Do you want to see that?
Sure, yeah,
Brilliant, absolutely amazing. So what I'm going to ask you to do is type in Ron Wyatt, Exodus. This is the first story that I started testing the Bible, because all I knew was, there's a guy called Jesus and Moses split the sea. Okay? So I'm going to refresh the story of Moses splitting the sea for you live. So Moses does 10 plagues on Egypt, and the Pharaoh's like, yo, just get out. Get your people, get out of my sight. So all the people leave, yeah? And they leave in a mixed multitude. Some of them are saying, yo, we've been seeing all your signs, that we know that your God's real, we're coming with you. So it's a mixed multitude. The Jews and all the people that believe in their God, they follow him. So they're going out there, and they're just going out. Then Pharaoh changes his mind, and he sends his army of chariots, yeah, to go and hunt down these people in the desert that are fleeing them. Yeah? Moses gets to the Red Sea, and he goes, oh, it's a dead end here. Dead end here. And the Pharaoh's behind them, yeah? So God says, yo, go put your staff in the water, and I'll split the sea and you can walk across it. So he does it. Opens up. They walk through. Pharaoh comes in with the chariots. Sea collapses. They're on the other side. Pharaoh's underneath. They're all drowned. What would the evidence be? 3,500 years later. Yeah. Say it's 4,000 years later. What would the evidence be?
Well, I mean, realistically, it's going to be the movement of the sand and also the lack of evidence of a land bridge, blah, 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 things like that. But what is the evidence that there is the possibility of splitting the sea? Explain to me how that realistically is possible.
Split the sea. Bible verse. So let's go and read the story in the Bible, because I'm going to make you change the way you look at Christians, yeah? Because we haven't left our head at home.
Sure.
Cool. So let's go to Exodus 14:21. Exodus. Exodus 12. Exodus 14:21. Okay. Now the Lord, I'll read the whole thing. It might take a while. Are you in a rush?
Not really, but it would be better if you summarised.
Okay, but because it's so descriptive, it talks about numbers, where they walk through, It talks about things that kind of fine-tune the story, but I can summarise it for you. They walk through a valley, yeah? They walk through a valley with everything on the side. Everything's described in the Bible. They walk through a very narrow valley, and then on there is an area that opens up, yeah? And they planted 12 stones on the other side when they crossed, yeah? So, now, when it collapsed, the sea opens up. In the, I think, is it the Red Sea? In the Red Sea, there is kind of a natural land bridge underneath that's like this. So when he splits the sea, he doesn't split it right down to the bottom. It goes straight up. When the sea collapsed on the Pharaoh's chariots, you would have, I think it was 5,000 chariots. These chariots are big constructions. Yeah. Now, when they were left under the sea, what happens to boats when they're left under the sea?
What do you mean? They destroyed and rot?
They destroy and rot. What grows around them?
Well, what do you mean? Over this such a long period of time, it doesn't matter what grows on them.
Okay, so what's happened is coral has grown round the wood, and the wood's rotted away. But we have coral structures all the way under that area. You can snorkel past them because we're on quite a shallow area of the Red Sea, and there are chariot axles and 6-spoke chariot wheels, which are described and drawn in the depictions. So the 6-spoke chariot wheels on the seabed, as you would expect. There is armour. There is horse bones. Yeah, most of them have rotted away, but what grew on them, the structure that they grew around the coral, is still there. Now the gold that there was on some of the chariots is there underneath. It doesn't tarnish or rot away. So we see structures, underneath the sea, all over the place, of axles, of basically the remnants, the large remnants where coral has grown over, and it has formed in that shape, all the way under that sea.
Yeah.
So if I send you this is the best video I send to people. This is the archaeology of the Bible. So all the places are named after it. It's very interesting. So we have evidence of what appears to be coralized shells of Pharaoh's army underneath, and you can go snorkel over them to this day. They're there. Yeah?
Okay, well, unfortunately I don't know enough about the biology of it to explain how that could happen, but at the same time, there's obviously other possibilities of how these things could have happened that I also can't explain.
So a logical man from a non-believer wouldn't stake his claim on one thing. We can do it again. We can go to the Bible. If I don't know the answer, we can go find it live, because I've never actually done apologetics on all the Bible. Do you want to pick again?
I mean, I think it'd be better to talk about certain situations. So, but the thing is, it's going to come down to our own ideology. So, for example, if I wanted to talk about the whole idea of turning water into wine, for example,
can't prove it.
Yeah, exactly. So the things that I'm going to want to discuss are going to be something you're just going to say is unprovable.
So go. No, it's fine. Just go. So what do you want to discuss?
Well, like I just said, turning water to wine. How?
I think this is the crazier thing. I get it, but God created the universe, single verse. Yeah, God created the universe. And most people, God says, a fool says in their heart there is no God. So you believe there is a creator of some sort. You're agnostic. You just don't know who he is. So you think the creator of the universe, the intelligent force that created what we are experiencing, because I didn't make it, I'm an idiot. Yeah?
So I'm personally a believer of pure science in the concept of the Big Bang.
I love science, bro. Absolutely love it. It's repeatable and provable.
But then if you strive if you love science, you strive for the ideology of proof. You want proof of everything.
So you're talking, you say you love the Big Bang.
Where is the proof of turning water to wine other than a bit of writing? Which, don't get me wrong, there are many sources for that writing over history, but there isn't any.
You can't test it. So what do you want me to do? Lie to you?
But
do you want me to lie to you? I believe it. The Bible says it. I believe it. That settles it. That's what I'm going to say. Like I didn't.
I get what you're saying. I think we're discussing.
I didn't build
my.
build my faith on what I could test. So you can't test the Big Bang theory. That's why it's called a theory. So from an outside perspective, turning water to wine will always be a theory because I can't do it now, and I can't test it then.
Well, yeah.
So what is it?
But there's also significantly. So over the last few years, over the last few decades, there has been a lot more proof coming out towards the realism of the Big Bang, especially talking about like the microwave radiation coming from the beginning of the universe.
Oh, okay, so do you believe NASA
nowadays?
Do you believe NASA?
About what specifically?
Do you believe that NASA lies or tells the truth?
I don't wholeheartedly believe them. I wouldn't believe any wholehearted agency for anything, really.
Cool. So do you believe we landed on the moon in 1966?
I like to understand something.
Cool. Do you believe we landed on the moon in 1966?
Pardon, sorry, I didn't hear that. Say again?
Do you believe we landed on the moon in 1966?
I don't know about the original moon landing. I'm not sure, but I do believe we have been to the moon.
Logically, do you believe that they lied in 1966? Because I believe they lied, and I'm quite comfortable with actually taking the position of that's bullshit.
Yeah. So I would lean more on the sides of the first space race was just propaganda to beat the Russians, whereas nowadays I believe we have been to the moon.
Have we?
I believe so personally.
Okay, that's amazing. Cool.
Or at least we have been to much more of space, at least.
Cool. So, to create a vacuum, you need a sealed container. There's no sealed container between us, and that's what you need. You know, science. You're landing on science. Science needs a sealed vacuum, a sealed container.
The whole problem of this is it goes back to the whole water to wine thing. We can't prove it. There is no way to check the edge of the universe right now.
So to create a vacuum in space, because we have an atmosphere, we're not in a vacuum, or all the atmosphere would have disappeared. You understand that? So you need a vacuum for space, and there isn't a vacuum unless there's a firmament above.
I'm not going to lie, thermodynamics isn't exactly my specialty.
Thermodynamics means that everything constantly deteriorates, but you say that an explosion...
Thermodynamics is the movement of energy.
Okay, the movement of energy, so everything deteriorates. You can't get it...
But if I'm not mistaken, isn't the whole reason that space is a vacuum is because there is such a void of matter. There is the absence of matter in space, which is why the whole concept of proving dark matter is such a big thing nowadays.
It's just theory and another theory to replace the holes in it.
So dark matter is a theory, correct?
Yeah, and
but it's a theory backed by a large degree of evidence.
I don't follow theories, mate. I'm a critical thinker. I believe that there's a lot of lies in theories. When someone said to me evolution... I
completely agree with you, and especially misinformation.
Yeah, of course there is, man. So I believe the world's controlled by Satan. And when I look at the media...
What, that's genuinely your belief?
Yeah, 100%.
I believe the world is controlled by capitalist people who care about no one but their self and their own self-greed. I wouldn't argue that down to Satan, personally. I don't understand how a higher power would be controlling that. I can understand the logical process of someone being born and having such a strong greed for money that they go to these extents.
That's fine. That we can agree to disagree. But I believe that before the Bible was true, I was a big conspiracy theorist person. And then when I had an experience, I looked at the evidence and I became a believer.
But when you're saying the whole concept of Satan is controlling the world, what do you mean by that? You're going to have to elaborate on that.
Even according to the Bible, Satan is the god of this earth, and he can give you anything, material gains. Yeah? It took Jesus up to a big mountain and said, you see all this, I'll give you anything if you bow down to me, give you all if you bow down to me. So when you see people in the music industry, in the sports, any industry at the top, they seem perverted. They get into these places of power, but I think they do rituals and things to get into those places. So Freemasonry at the high level, all sorts of things. I believe people sell the soul or do to pay Yeah, I believe that at the top it's controlled by people who, it's just disgusting. I think that they have to do certain acts and do all sorts of stuff.
I mean, I don't completely disagree in the fact that I believe there is a group of people that have a much larger influence over the world. Whether or not they would worship Satan or something along those lines I can't really comment on that because there's nothing to say that's the case. So I see no hard evidence for that other than theories or misinformation or possible just other bits of information that have been spread very quickly on the internet. It's easy to believe a theory when you want to.
Cool. What do you think of this one? This This is someone that described people today. Yeah? But mark this. There'll be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power, have nothing to do with such people. When do you think that was written?
I don't know. I mean, realistically, that just described a load of common human traits throughout the entirety of humanity.
What, compared to the 50s? 19th century? You think people were like this?
I mean, yeah,
People
maybe
were
not to
lovers
an
of
exact
themselves.
degree, as obviously people change throughout history.
Yes, people do change throughout history, but generally, you don't think that we're talking about what's happened in our generation. I'm 36, and what's changed and how people act has changed. It's night and day, bro. They've got little kids believing they can change sexes, and that's science.
I mean, I kind of agree with you on the whole idea of children changing sexes. But I think it's also to do with the fact that we're in a society nowadays where information spreads like a wildfire. You can tell somebody on the other side of the world something and it instantly gets transmitted. I think that allows for negativity and these negative behaviours you just spoke of to spread significantly quicker and to be normalised. But to say that it wasn't like that in smaller circles, more closed off in the past, is again borderline impossible to say.
Okay, let me just show you another one. Tell me when they wrote this one. 3 to 5. Let me just expand upon it. NIV, Daniel. Okay. And at that time, Michael, the great prince who protects your people, arise. There will be time of distress such as not happened from the beginning of nations until then. But at that time, your people, everyone whose name is found written in the book, must be delivered. Multitudes who slept in the dust of the earth will awake. Some to everlasting light, others to everlasting contempt. Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, roll up the seal of the words of the scroll until the time of the end. And many will go here. Now listen to this. Many will go here and there to increase knowledge. Then I, Daniel, looked there, and therefore before me stood 2 others, one on the bank of the river and one on the opposite bank. One of them said to the man clothed in linen, it goes, they will run to and fro, and knowledge will increase. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's lots of. Let me just show you some prophet. End time prophecies. 50. What? Let me just read a few of these ones. Okay, ready.
I just want to say one thing, and the thing with prophecies is there have been so many made throughout the entirety of just life in general that some of them are bound to be realistic at one point.
The Bible's never got any of them wrong. Okay, let me just go through these.
Any of them? That's a very bold statement, saying they've got none of them wrong.
But I promise you, we can test them. It's not a problem.
Again, I've not read the Bible myself.
Okay, so that's very easy. Listen, when Israel reformed in one day, we came into the last book of the Bible, the book of Revelation. Yeah, that's why everyone is focused always on Israel. It's always in the news, and the world is pro-Palestine and all sorts of stuff. So that this book comes in order. We've been watching it fulfill since 1947. So let's go through. Let me go through a few of these. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Let me just scan a few of them because some of them are easier for you to understand. You don't need much knowledge.
Yeah, all good.
Okay. Okay, so it talks about the. I'm looking through and it's going all over the place. This one, it's not very good. So it talks about the rebuilding of the third temple. So when the temple was destroyed in Israel, the Jews used to make blood sacrifices, yeah. And then Jesus came and was the perfect sacrifice, yeah. There's been no sacrifice for 2,000 years for the Jews. They're not killing animals and covering the sins with the blood, yeah. Now, in Israel, they have collected together people that are the descendants of the Levites. Yeah, they have, and they've trained them to perform the services needed in the temple. So people that know how to run the temple, it's a job. They've trained them. They've made all the ornaments that they need to run this temple. They've got the plans. They've got this third temple.org. Temple.org. Okay. There you go. This is the official Israeli website for the rebuilding of the third temple. They have.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's ready to be rebuilt in Israel. They have 5 red heifers, which is basically a cow with red hair. And they've not had a pure one for thousands of years. And they said these cows will appear. So they've got these cows that are ready for sacrifice. Yeah, that's how they do their thingy. Do whatever they do. So they trained everyone. They've got the blueprints. They've probably made all the pieces ready to rebuild this third temple. And they're going to rebuild it. And that was prophesied in the Bible. It was prophesied in the Bible what nations would come against each other. So let me show you something that'll kind of make you squirm in your seat a little bit and put the heebie-jeebies up you. Because if the Bible's true, it talks about today, if it mentioned all the countries that are lining up to fight each other in World War III, you might...
Are you saying this is written in the Bible?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go show it to you. We're going to go.
How is this written and where is this written? I would like to check the source myself as well.
Amazing. So let me just find the... Okay. The Psalm 83. Psalm 83.
Yeah.
Type in PSALM 83.
Yeah, I'm looking now.
Okay. Okay, we can go through all the people. Do you want to read it? Psalm 83, 6-8. And it talks about the people...
I'm reading it to myself currently.
Yeah, do you want to read it out loud, mate? Because I do YouTube and it'd be amazing if you could read it out loud. So
I've got to be kind of quiet at the minute because family is sleeping, so probably not.
Your voice is fine if you can just talk.
I'm not a very good reader.
It's fine, I'm dyslexic, it's cool.
Which bit am I reading?
Just Psalm 83, we're not in a rush.
To be honest, I'd rather not read it if I'm honest with you, mate.
Okay, I'll read it for you. Psalm 83. Psalm 124. Psalm...
Also, can you link me your YouTube channel or give me the name to it, please?
Yeah, of course I can. Let me link you it, because I'm very new and people find it hard to find. Psalm 83.
Sure.
83, I found it. Let me get you my YouTube channel here. Oh, hang on. Copy. Where are we now? There you go, that's me. Okay, Psalm 83. Okay, do not keep silent, O God. Do not hold your peace. Do not be still, O God. For behold, your enemies make a tumult, and those who hate you have lifted up their heads. They have taken crafty counsel against your people, and consulted together against your sheltered ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation. That name of Israel may be remembered no more. For they have consulted together with one consent. They have formed a confederacy against you. The tents of Edom and the Ishmaelites, Moab and the Hagarites, Jebal, Ammon and Amalek, Philistia and the inhabitants of Tyre. Assyria also have joined them with them. They have helped the children of Lot. Selah. Selah means think on these things. When it says Selah, you're meant to pause and think on these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen to what the Bible says. Selah basically means, hey, I've told you something. I want you to process what I've told you. Ready? Now we're going to process what he's just told us. Okay? Now, the tents of Eden, Palestinians and southern Jordanians, Ishmaelites, Saudis, Ishmael, father of Arabs, Moab, Palestinians and central Jordanians, Haganes, Egyptians, Hagar, the Egyptian matriarch, Jabal, Hezbollah, and the northern Lebanese, Ammon, Palestinians and northern Jordanians, Amalek, Arabs of the Sinai area. We have the Mount Sinai, it's a real mountain that's burnt at the top, I can show you that. Philistia, Hamas of the Gaza Strip, Tyre, Hezbollah, and southern Lebanese, Assyria, Syrians, and northern Iraqis. So, in reality, this is David, this is Psalms, this is David, bro. This is like thousands and thousands of years old. When we're talking of these places, it talks of what they were called then. So the area, it talks about the areas, and they have. I don't know how aware you are of what the news says and what global politics is actually happening and who's alive.
I mean, I don't really listen to the news, Good. But I vaguely follow what they're saying.
Okay, so forget the mainstream news. The countries that are aligning against Israel.
Obviously.
Yeah, the countries that are aligning against Israel. Yeah. Iran, Russia, China, all these countries and all the ones around them, and Sudan, all these places, they were all described in the Bible as forming a confederacy, making a pact, an Abrahamic agreement they call it. So they're all coming together, they're all sending missiles to each other, and their whole thing is to destroy Israel, God's chosen people. Yeah, Israel's the size of Yorkshire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the size of Yorkshire. And every time someone comes against it, they get mashed. 7-day war, they all came against it and they were doing miracles and just, it's mad. Like, look into it. So that's God's chosen land. Yeah, it's really horrible what's happening to the Palestinians because they're people and they need to move. Yeah, because it's God's land. And I know it sounds really like you're so brutal and honest, but that's what the Bible says. Yeah.
Did you say 7-day war or 6-day war?
7-day war, I think. Is it 7 or 6? I might be wrong. I think it's a 7-day
war. Google's saying 6.
Oh, well, 6-day war.
7 right now.
I'm not incredible. 6-day war. Yeah. So.
No, I understand.
So when it mentions all these countries coming against us, it's really interesting.
When you say us, you're referring to
the West,
Israel.
The West.
The West. Where does it say anything about coming against the West?
Okay, so God blesses those who bless Israel. So because we establish Israel and we support Israel and we bless Israel, God has turned the tribe of Manasseh and the tribe of Ephraim, which is the Americans and the British. So when God talks about different tribes, there's 12 tribes, he describes what they look like, where they go, and the attributes of that tribe. If you didn't know that, it's very interesting. So God says, this son looked like this and he went that way, and those people, you say, oh my God, that's them. So the Bible's not a fairy tale. It's like, what? And they'll act like this, and the hair's that colour, and the skin's like this, and they'll move in that direction. Where the two sons of Jacob with a double blessing, Ephraim and Manasseh. You're Ephraim, probably. I'm Ephraim. It'd be really interesting to find out which tribe you're from. Are you a white boy from the UK?
Yeah.
You're probably Ephraim, mate. Most Europeans are Ephraim. Yeah, and Manasseh's America. And it talks about what we'll be like in the end times and all sorts. So, yeah. We'll have great
I'm taking a look right now.
You're Ephraim. Know your history. Know who you are. Really interesting. Really, really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I am interested into all of this stuff. I love looking at Was that blasphemy? I think that was blasphemy.
I'd say
I love
it,
looking
God,
into.
God looks at your heart, mate. Just try not to do it. I'm working on it. God looks at your heart.
I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, personally, I'm not someone who is very likely to change the ways I perceive a lot of this stuff.
I'm only
I do
asking
find
you
it
to look.
interesting.
I'm only asking you to have a look. I've got the Quran over here.
I mean, I'm reading. I'm saving my sources.
Yeah, I've got the Quran over here. I've got Strong's Concordance over here.
What's your thoughts on the Quran then?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on the Quran then?
Absolutely disgusting.
Really? Like I said, I haven't read the Bible. I haven't read the Quran. I've heard things, but obviously
disgusting. And I know
what year is?
Yeah. If you go onto my channel, you'll see me debating Muslims, and it'll break your heart. I love them. I specialise in Islam because I love Muslims. I hate Islam.
I was going to say, I've got a lot of very good friends of mine that are
They're lovely. They look more like Christians than Muhammad is. Like, they don't know what's in their own book. If they did, they wouldn't be Muslim. If you knew what was in the Bible, you'd be Christian. But they both can't be right. That's an oxymoron.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's something I shouldn't comment on because I don't understand enough about it.
Of course. I wouldn't expect you to comment on anything. You don't know what's in it, so you don't have the right to an opinion.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take a look at some of your videos and see about that. I just want to go back to the whole third temple.
Yes.
So, what you talk about the three? I forgot the word. The redheaded boys. I forgot the word. What's the name of them? The redheaded. The red heifers. That's it. Yeah. So what's the deal with all of that then?
So they were told to look for red heifers for 2,000 years.
Yeah, so I know that, but I'm saying as of nowadays, what's the implications?
They're in a safe place. They were exported from America to Israel. They are in a safe place, being ready to be killed when the temple opens up. So,
and what is the objective of doing that?
Okay, so when Jesus died and our calendar changed to year 0, yeah, it was the end of the age of law. So the calendar today is based off Jesus' death. Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, so that changed into the age of grace. Yeah? So there was no sacrifice for sin. It was just, this guy, Jesus, was the lamb that takes away, he was the sacrifice. He's the perfect sacrifice. It's done. Now put your faith in the sacrifice, yeah? When the Christians say that Jesus is coming back to take everyone away, or take all the Christians away, that's why in 1947 you had the Roswell incident. Aliens.
Again, I don't know too much about it, but I've...
Cool. 1947 Roswell, New Mexico.
Yeah, I'm looking now.
Cool. So when...
Oh, it's that one.
Yeah. So that's when the world was like, oh, aliens. So if lots of people disappeared off the earth, what would you logically put it down to?
Well, I mean, I don't really know too much about people randomly disappearing off the earth, realistically.
No, I know, it's not realistic, is it? It's not. But in the news...
Well, yeah, so I don't really... I can't put it down to something if I don't...
But are you aware that in the news they've been talking about aliens on Sky News and BBC News randomly?
Oh, yeah, fucking everywhere.
Weird, isn't it? So since 1947,
no, not really.
they've been
I personally think it's a lot of propaganda and fear-mongering like the news has always done throughout the entirety of modern society.
But for 76 years, they have been pushing down our neck. Oh, there's these aliens. People get abducted. That's what you think of aliens. Seeing the light coming down and people getting pulled up, don't you?
Well, yeah. Cool. But I don't really see that being anything to do with religion.
No, I don't.
I wasn't sure if that was what you was implying.
No, but I think that's what the world's implying. So if everyone disappeared, that would be grace. That would be Jesus coming back to save everyone from grace, and then it would go back under the law. There'd be no go back under the law, and the temple would be started, and they'd have to start sacrificing animals. They go from law
so moving on from this a little bit
to back to law.
Okay, so another thing is, if God is this almighty protector, why are there so many people who have worshipped and dedicated their lives to him who end up dying young or having horrible events happen to them, or
all the way through the Bible.
So many tragic things happening.
All the way through the Bible, bad things happen to people. The disciples got butchered for him.
And that's what I'm saying. If it's such an almighty, powerful being, why is that the case?
What happens when they die? Where are they now, according to the Bible?
Oh, well, yeah, I understand the whole concept of that. It's just...
So in this Bible...
It's an interesting...
Logically, in the Bible, what it promises you, it says, they hated me, so they'll hate you. In this world, you will have persecution. When you become Christian, do you know what you get off the world? Mocked, hated, Bible banned, murdered, persecuted, everything. That's what happens to Christians. So, yeah, even this video, your friend was like, oh, it's Christian, let's mock him. You're not saying it, you can't, because I know what I'm talking about. But
that was nothing to do with you being Christian, that was just to do with mocking everyone on Omegle.
Well, listen, I used to mock Christians myself. I was human.
So,
actually, skydiving.
Hold on. There's one really big thing that I forgot to bring up. You said you were possessed.
Yes.
Can we talk about that? That was actually what I wanted to talk about originally.
Of course we can. Yeah, cool. So in 2017, I was making a cryptocurrency video on this sofa there. Yeah? Making a cryptocurrency video.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I was like this, recording a video for an ICO, and I turned off. Like, typing away, this is the next coin offering, this, that, the other, and then I just switched off, like, just black. I had stood up and walked through my house, and I'd hit the door, and the next thing that I remember is being on the floor, and being lifted up like The Exorcist. So I'm making a video, and then I'm in my kitchen being lifted up like that without using my arms. In front of me, there was a ball of light, pink shiny ball of light. Yeah. It was through the door. I could see the back of it. So it wasn't in the physical world. It was interdimensional.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. You know in the gadget shop when you put your hand on the balls and the lightning comes up to it? The purple thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
That kind of colour. You know, that kind of colour. It's got like rainbow colours in it a little bit, but it's all shiny.
Plasma. It's
plasma. Yeah. Plasma. All the way around, and inside it was a face. Like that. I've got PTSD because of it. Looking at me. I wake up to a ball of light in front of me, being lifted up. I'm like, what is going on here? I get stood up. I realise I'm not in control of my own body. And have its thoughts inside my head. So I'm being controlled. My body, someone's in the driver's seat. Someone else is in the driver's seat of my body. And I'm like being stood up.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've got its thoughts. It's trying to find a knife on the kitchen work surface to stick through my own heart. Yeah? And I go, oh shit. Yeah. And I go, oh shit, I'm about to kill myself. It starts walking me around my kitchen. I go, help! Help! I'm sorry. And when I said I'm sorry, it dropped out of me. I just dropped on the floor. And I woke up, I stood up, and I was like, oh my God. And I rang my mum. My housemate came running downstairs, and I was like, you're not going to believe what just happened. And I tried to find out what that was. I spoke to every religious person, this, that, the other, and they'd said, hey, I'm a pastor, I'm an imam, I've heard of people seeing these things.
Did you go to doctors?
No, I didn't. No, my mum and all my family are doctors
and
nurses. My mum and my family are all doctors and nurses.
What type of doctors and nurses? What did they do? Where did they were they practicing in like a hospital or?
No, my stepsister's a nurse, but my mum didn't want me to get sectioned, as you can imagine.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
From the outside perspective, and she doesn't think. Well, I don't lie. Like I'm just, I do many bad things.
I don't doubt that you are telling the 100% truth to yourself, but from an outside point of view, do you not have even the slight concern that could have been something like extreme psychosis?
No.
Do you not even have a slight, not even a tiny doubt?
No.
Why? What is telling you that was not possible? That could not have been psychosis?
Because in my journey,
or something along those lines.
I just know it, and I'm telling you the truth. I was lifted up off the floor with a ball.
Again, I don't disbelieve that you are telling me what you believe. Cool. The fact that you haven't gone to a doctor or any medical professional for the possibility of being section. Again, I understand. I completely sympathise with the fact that there was a big risk of. The fact that you haven't done that makes it impossible to understand if it was not.
So
that.
let me fast forward. So when I talk to people have described the same things that I do. Yeah, balls of light. Yeah, demonic possession. Yeah, I met multiple people that have seen them. Yeah, same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in my journey when I became Christian, I've had prayers answered. I evangelized 2 people like this. I have my partner who saw Jesus in a dream in Thailand. She was like, I saw Jesus, I'm Christian, I'm in, I'm all in. I have had so many answers to prayers and dwelt with God. So when we talk of supernatural events, if you go to a church and ask people how they became Christian or what they have, we live in a supernatural world. And when you experience God, you know it. So the reason this demonic possession... Yeah, so we believe in the supernatural. And people will have stories, and they'll just be old ladies that go, yo, listen.
I mean, I personally don't, to be honest.
That's fine, I didn't. I couldn't be, I would never have been Christian without...
But most people around me do, and a lot of people around me do.
Well, a lot of people, you've got to trust them. Now, I was into crystals and New Age and all that stuff. That's fine, I was a skeptic.
You was, before?
Yeah, I was into crystals.
Did you say you was into crystals?
Yeah, I was into all sorts of that nonsense. And yoga.
But you just said you were a skeptic at the same time, and then you said you was into crystals and
I was a skeptic of the Bible. I wasn't a skeptic of there being a higher power and creator. Just didn't know what it was.
I mean, yeah.
So when I was doing yoga, I liked going to yoga because it was sexy ladies and barely nothing stretching. But yoga is a Hindu practice. Just being honest, yoga's a Hindu practice of yoking with other gods. That could have been the way. So it's not this whole possession thing and people having stories and people have night terrors and talk of all these bad stuff. People have crazy stuff happen. Like God is real. People will have crazy experiences, and because people, when they have an experience, they can't explain it or tell the mother. They don't really talk about it. Yeah, my mum had a vision when she was younger.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
And she had a vision.
Yeah, similar situation for my own parent.
Yeah, and my mum's a fully functioning nurse, upstanding member of society, and I didn't find out this until that evening. I said, Mum, I've just seen a ball of light. She goes, Adam, when I was younger, I was drinking a bottle of wine with your auntie. I turned round and she was in a waterfall. But it was like, what? And we were just in a house at 7 p.m. I know you're not lying.
Yeah.
Let's find out about this. My brother's had 2 dreams from God in prison.
The thing is, from my perspective, I'm obviously never going to be able to believe something like that unless I see it myself. You want
to know if God's real? Just pray to him. Just ask him.
I'm sure you understand.
Yeah, of course I do. So tell me about your mum's vision.
It's not my place to discuss, but it was to do with her mother who had passed away. She believes that she saw her, basically.
Right, okay. So my great-grandma used to talk with the dead, and it's satanic. It's New Age.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can't communicate with the dead. It's demons pretending to be your parents. It's mentioned in the Bible. So when you're dead, but demons are demons. So yeah, I get that. That's actually mentioned in the Bible. Everything there's only 2 faiths. There's Satanism, which comes in many forms, and there's God, relationship with God. God is just incomparable to the power. But when you're mentioning, they call clairvoyance and speaking to the dead, it's satanic.
Yeah.
But your mum doesn't know that, or she wouldn't be doing it. Yeah.
Oh no, I fully appreciate that.
So my great grandma used to do it. I didn't know about it, but when I had my experience, I was so vocal about it. People in my family were like, "Actually, Adam, your great grandma used to see golden balls of light in a room and talk to the dead, and your mum's had a vision, and then my brother's had." A dream of someone coming into his locked prison room and giving him the gospel, and then he's seen my dad, and God's turned me over and told me my dad's in heaven, and confirmed it 3 times just when I asked him. I know my dad's in heaven. So you don't understand how beautiful a relationship with God is. God's told me words of knowledge live on my videos. You can watch it. It says I have a word of knowledge. And
so when you say God's told me, what do you mean by that?
So the Trinity,
because that could be very implicit.
Cool. So the Trinity is the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. When you accept Jesus Christ, God comes and lives inside of you. Yeah, and God will manifest, so you will know that God's living inside of you. He's not, it's God living inside of you. You're going to sense something different. Yeah. God will tell you things that only He knows. So you have gifts of the Spirit. Yeah? I'm not very gifted. I get words of knowledge. Yeah? And they are used for the edification of the church. So if I know something about you, that God's told me to tell you, is so you know that it's God, not me. So if I said to you, you're wearing a blue jumper, yeah? I'm making it up, I don't know. So don't think that I'm actually suggesting it. And I've never seen you. That could be a gift of the Spirit. It's the Holy Spirit in me telling you something, or anything. So
okay, so how could so say I was wearing a blue jumper right now. I'm not going to say whether or not I am. Would you, if I told you I was, would you believe that was a gift?
No, because I made that up off my head. That was just me giving an analogy. I can't just force.
Okay, yeah.
I can't force the gifts to come out. It's not me. Like, I had one at work the other day. I didn't drink for a month at my sales job to show them that I was Christian and be nice and represent my faith by my actions. And on the last day, this company didn't pay all of our wages. And the boss said, look, we're going out drinking. I spoke to God. I said, look, God, I'm going to have a few drinks. He goes, okay, don't worry about it. You've done your thing. You're not, it's not religious, And I had a few drinks with the lads. Went out to my friend's house to get changed to go out to the bars. And as I was in the car, this kid was talking, and God said, mention the name Dave Beer, because his dad had died. And he goes, how did you know that? And he goes, God just told me to tell you Dave Beer. He goes, what? He was my dad's best friend. My dad's dead, like this or the other. And he wouldn't shut up. There was 5 lads in the car, and he just went on. It was called Sonny. And he went on and on. I was like, how did you know that? How did you know that? I said, God's told me.
I've been in a few situations very similar to that before.
Cool.
They've not always mentioned that it's God that said that, but I have been in a situation very, very similar to what you just described.
Yeah, and it was So and then the guys at work were like, "Can you tell me a word for me?" I'm like, "I didn't get it. I can't. You can't. Have you got any words for me?" I'm like, "No, I haven't got words for anyone. It's God." And it's really difficult to step out in faith, but So I met a man like my friend. I told my friend the gospel. One of my best friends is Canadian, still in Thailand. Told him the gospel, and he was the first one to start dying of COVID in an ambulance. He wasn't breathing, and then he heard the voice of God. And then my other friend argued with God for 2 hours, and every time she thought of God, he answered the question. She gave up and became Christian. She's like, look, I've just argued with God for 2 hours. I'm all in. So, things happen.
What I'm going to say might be possibly offensive, I don't know, but do you believe that the whole concept of the Bible, God, religion, and all of those sort of things nowadays is misused and misrepresented in a damaging way? Because I would say it is.
Of course it is. Of course it is. The media hates God. Like, everyone's a pedo on the news.
Oh, yeah, obviously. The media hates everything, come on.
But, okay, listen to this one. Common sense, logic here, yeah? The media projects evil stuff. That's all it does, is degradation, gets fighting against each other. It's horrible.
Well, I think it presents anything that's pro-government, pro-capitalist sort of...
whatever. I get it.
I don't necessarily mean evil, but I think they have synonyms.
Why does it project Christianity in a bad light? And not attack any other religion?
Well, because it's something for people to unite with. No, they do attack other religions. I don't believe that's true at all. They constantly associate terrorism with Islam. What do you mean? That's a fact. The media constantly associate terrorism with Islamophobia.
You need to read this book.
I'm going to be honest, I probably won't.
Okay, cool.
But I'm talking...
Yeah. Cool. I've read the book.
Sure, and I'm not denying that, as you say, there might be some messed up things. I'm not at all talking against that. I'm just saying that they do associate... Sorry, what did you say?
Cool. And they associate loving your enemies with this book. Christians, not Jews.
I mean...
That's what we're taught to do.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't necessarily think the fact that they attack religion is to do with necessarily the whole concept of Satanism. I think it's more, again, sorry, I'm struggling to articulate what I want to say. stopping people uniting and standing together. I think as a media that strives for the government's views, they don't want the people.
We're taught to pray. We're taught to pray. We're taught to pray for our government. I pray for Boris Johnson and anyone who's in power. Even though I might hate them, disagree with them, I'm taught to pray for them. Pray for kings, pray for those in power, because they make decisions and my prayer works. So I pray for them. I'm taught to obey the law unless it contradicts the Bible. So you tell me I can't spread the gospel, I'm going to go to jail. You tell me I can't pray, I'm going to pray. I'm going to go to jail. You tell me anything, but I'm going to obey the law. Yeah, but there's certain things that Christians won't do. So say that it's okay to pull babies limb by limb out because they're an inconvenience, or tell kids that they become different sexes, or anything. Doesn't mean I don't love them. I love everybody. Everyone's a sinner. Sinners come to my church. It's like we're all sinners here. That's why we're here. We need Jesus. Yeah, it's like we love people. Like you talk. This is the crazy thing. I'll bring up the elephant in the room. Yeah, because it's weaponized against us. Yeah, Christians think homosexuality is a sin because God says it. Yeah, the reason I don't change my views on anything is because they need God. You need God. You're a sinner. I'm a sinner. I've got God. Yeah, God's changing me and making me sin less. Yeah. But in the Bible, because I believe the Bible's true, when I said Sodom and Gomorrah, that's where we get the word sodomy from. God destroyed 2 cities with balls of sulfur from the sky and melted cities of millions of people and left them as ash heaps. But they look like cities. They're the cities, yeah. And he salted the ground, and thousands of years later, he said where they are. And you can go visit Sodom and Gomorrah. You can go now on 4K drone footage flying around these places. And it's all salted. Nothing grows there. And there are windows and doors and buildings that are 10 stories high and sphinxes and pyramids and everything. And streets and everything. They're all there and they're all limestone. But when it turns to a certain temperature, changes its compound and is that. And then there's a pillar of salt. And at the top, it's shaped like a woman turning around like that. And it's Sodom and Gomorrah. And if I know that that's what God judged, yeah, exactly, it's crazy. If I know that that's what the judgment will be for sexual immorality, homosexuality, and all this kind of perversion, yeah, should I not show people and tell them, hey, you need Jesus, bro, because I love you? If someone's in the middle of the road and they say, don't tell me what to do, don't tell them to get out the road, but there's a truck coming at them, should I say, do you know what? My God says he can cover your sin and he can change you. Yeah? Did you actually get out the road? I love them. I've got friends. I've got Christians that go, believe in God. I struggle with homosexuality is a sin, but they admit that it's a sin because everything sins. We all sin, but they admit that it's a sin. They say, God, your way, not mine. I struggle with this sin. Then they point to someone else and say, I don't point at anyone. Yeah, I say I'm a sinner. Yeah, I do different things. I have broken sins. I'm not perfect. I'm but far from it, bro. And before I was saved, I've broken a lot.
Everyone is. That's just human.
Yeah, but I said, I am a sinner. I have these problems. I took it to the cross and said, yo, I accept your way. I know I'm wrong. I'm sorry for what I've done. Forgive me. Yeah? Forgive me. And I repented. Read backwards, pent, mind. I changed my mind on what God is and what he did. And I accepted his righteousness and he took my sin. It was an exchange. He paid for my sins. I said, take him, and I want your righteousness. And I said, I want you to be my Lord and Saviour. And I turned, and I went his way, and started walking with Jesus. I was born again in my hallway, crying my eyes out, going, oh my God, the Bible's all true. I looked at the evidence of the crucifixion, and I went, oh, I'm in. I'm really sorry. And I forgave everyone that hurt me. I was so broken. Forgave everyone. A radical love. I evangelised to people privately that I used to try to kill in a pub. When I flipped, I didn't mean to, but people really hurt me. Yeah, I knew I would. If I caught him, I'd have put him away. People were pulling me off him. But I have privately evangelised to people that can't even look me in the eye because they know what they've done to me. That's the radical love. If you've destroyed my life and I'm going, I found Jesus. I forgive you. I'm really sorry. You need Jesus. You're like, what? How does it change him? I love people. Yeah, you get me. I hate nobody. Hate nobody, bro. I love everybody. You can't do anything. That's the pray for you. They don't know. You don't know. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they've done. You don't know that your actions affect people. You think that because you haven't been found out, God still knows. You think
like I said, it's not something I personally believe in. I've said that multiple times. I think
where does good and
it's hard to disprove the Bible for the. Sorry.
Where does good and bad come from?
Personal morality, in my opinion.
Where does personal morality come from?
My own code of ethics.
Where does personal morality come from? My own code
of ethics. I have grown up from what I've seen throughout society. I have grown up. That's where it's come to me.
What's your name?
My name's Shay.
Shay. In my code of ethics, it said punch Shay in the face.
So be it. If that's your ethics, that's your ethics. Right? I believe individuality. Your own personal code of ethics is your code of ethics.
So I can do whatever I want in my code of ethics.
I'm not saying freedom of consequences. I'm saying that's your own personal code of ethics.
Yeah. So in the world,
if you believe that to be so,
in the world, people say this to me. Says, why is the world imperfect? And I say, God gave us 10 commandments. Love your neighbour as yourself. Yeah.
Sure.
If I did that, do you think there'd be wars?
Well, I mean...
No. If everyone did that, there wouldn't be wars.
If everyone had the whole concept of...
Yeah, if everyone followed the 10 commandments...
No, obviously not.
Yeah, there wouldn't be wars. What's another one? Thou shalt not lie. If I didn't lie, we know scandals, no nothing. Thou shalt covet. We know stealing. No jealousy. No one...
But these things are just... they're non-realistic. They're never going to happen. And
no. But what
I don't understand the point you're trying to make here.
What God does is, God has an everlasting kingdom, and because I am seen perfect, through Jesus, through the Holy Spirit, when I have Christ's perfection inside of me, when I die, I will be able to go to a perfect place forever. So logically, I can't earn something that is perfection forever, heaven. There's without sin and lasts forever. I can't earn that in an imperfect body. So God did it for me.
But if throughout your entire life you can repent for bad decisions you've made, get forgiveness, throughout multiple fuck-ups throughout your entire life, die and go to a forever perfect place, what's to stop somebody to keep sinning and keep repenting for their own sins because they know they're going to get forgiveness?
Repenting is changing. So
is there a limit to that?
No. Repenting is changing. Now I'm going to ask you something. Do you think that if I share my house, my body, with the consciousness of God, I'm going to find it easy to sin? If my dad is on my shoulder, my father, my teacher, my best friend is on my shoulder, and they're nothing but good, do you think I'm going to find it easy to go sin? Do you think when I'm looking at...
not really.
It's going to be difficult, isn't it? If your parents are looking over your shoulder, your best friend or your teacher and all the people that care for you.
I don't see where that has a religious implication. That's the same thing if I had someone watching over me who was a good person. Yeah. I don't see how that has any implications to do with religion.
No, well, God hated religion. God hates religion. Do you know why he brought the law? Why he made religion? To show man is imperfect. No. Yeah, to show the Jews are imperfect. They can't keep the law. So when they fail, they put the faith in the animal sacrifice. They put the faith in the blood. It's just to show them, look, you're not perfect. You need me. This animal is a representation of what I'm going to do in the future. Put your faith in the blood. When the angel of death flew over the Egyptians, when they put the lamb's blood on the door, and the angel of death didn't kill the son. Mm-hmm. The angel didn't go into the house and said, have you been a good person? He said, did you put your faith in the blood? Cain and Abel. God said, go and make me a sacrifice. And Cain came with all of his good works. Like he said, look, I've been making this fruit, got some nice carrots, a bit of broccoli, all this stuff. Look at this, God. Look at my cabbages, look at all my stuff. Oh, look at the work of the field I brought in. God was like, I didn't ask you to do that. That's an abomination. And Abel, he said, I've killed this animal for you, bro. This is to cover my sins. Blood covers sins. Without blood, there's no remission of sin. It says, "I've done what you've done. I've just killed you."
Man, I'm gonna have to go now. I've got to go cook some dinner.
Okay, listen. I'm gonna send you.
It's been good having a chat with you, though.
Yeah, listen. You've got my link. If you comment on anything, I'll send you it. These are the 5 videos. They're in every link on my description on every video. Quantum physics explaining the Trinity, knowing God, and watch this one. Watch this one. This is why the Bible is the word of God.
I mean, I'll definitely watch the one in quantum physics in the Bible. I'll definitely watch the quantum physics one. That sounds
interesting. Love it. You'll love it. God, quantum physics, particles can be in two places at once.
Yeah, man.
Spooky action at a distance explains prayer. Quantum entanglement explains the Holy Spirit living inside of me. Come on, bro. The Bible, you don't have to leave your brain. We love science over here.
I mean, I feel like there are definitely implications that lead to that, but I don't know about proofs for it.
It's cool. It suggests that God is quantum. Right, listen, I'm going to pray for you. Shay.
Yeah, anyways, I have got to go now.
Okay,
like I said.
God loves you, bro. Jesus Christ loves you. Test the evidence. You've got
all right, have a good day, man.
Hallelujah, bro. God bless you. Bye-bye.